I recently ran across a YouTuber that talks a lot about the injustices in America, and I thought it was real interesting. So make sure you check it out. It's called The Civil Rights Lawyer. Go ahead and check out his stuff. It's really good stuff.
The obvious reason for this is the fact that Larry did not pose a threat. Yet later that day, Larry was formally charged in Perry County, and his bond was set at $2 million. In that same day, Sheriff Weems launched a local news media tour about Larry's arrest. In these comments, Sheriff Weems maligned Larry's character, and he defended these false charges against Larry. In one statement, Sheriff Weems stated, "Creating mass hysteria in our community will not be tolerated." Sheriff Weems made other public statements alleging that the meme had caused mass hysteria to parents and teachers at the local school. However, a FOIA request to the public school requesting any information pertaining to those claims revealed that no such information even existed. There was no mass hysteria. It never happened. No evidence existed that it happened, and no evidence was ever collected that it happened. Yet Larry Bushart was left to languish in the Perry County Jail for over a month as the sheriff and investigator Morrow did absolutely nothing to gather evidence of Larry's allegedly heinous.
I can't tell you how many times people have lied. Cops, judges, lawyers, attorneys. It doesn't matter who it is. Counselors, and if things have been said, it's just a flat out lie. And I like to have my recording so that when people call me crazy, I can push play and maybe not be called crazy. Now, anytime I posted anything online, the first thing a judge will do, like anytime, including back when I was turning around and working with judges in family court, and if I posted something online that was the truth about something where I thought an injustice was done, where I was being kept from my daughter, and this is what was really done, this is what was really said, here's the actual recording, here's the actual video. Well, the judge just and the attorneys flip out and they don't want to see the truth online. If you post the truth online, they do not like it. And immediately I've been told, you take that shit down.
Which election cycle it was, but I represented a guy who got arrested for posting a meme on Twitter, for reposting a meme that somebody else had made on Twitter. And it was at the direction of our now Senator Jim Justice when he was running for governor. Somebody had posted a wanted poster with his face on it. The West Virginia State Police ends up getting sent to this guy's house. They end up arresting him for, I think it was felony terroristic threats, knowing the whole time it was bullshit, but they achieved what they wanted to achieve, which he wasn't in jail for a month, but they got him on bond. They got him out on bond with a bond condition that he's not allowed to post anything on the internet, or it was something to that effect. So they took him out of the meme posting game for however long that they could, because they're holding him as a terrorist on a felony. And so it was like a year. After a year, that basically timed out and the charges were dropped. They never intended to prosecute him. They just intended to shut him up. And they did for that entire election cycle and more.
And shut up anybody who was watching or who heard about it.
So I encourage you to watch that entire video. It was about a guy who spent 62-year-old man, 61-year-old, who was actually a retired police officer. And they threw him in jail for 37 days, over a month, and held him without trial, without anything. It was a $2 million bond, so he couldn't get out of jail. He was never formally charged, but for some reason they were able to keep him in jail for 37 days because a local sheriff did not like a post he made online, a meme he made. And because he didn't like it, well, he felt it was his right to hold this guy for 37 days. And what doesn't surprise me is he got away with it. And if it wasn't for people that actually stand up, like this group, the civil rights and the people he works with, if it wasn't for some of these people that stood in, and if it didn't get media coverage, like this would have been going on, he might have spent years in jail. If it wasn't for the fact that enough media coverage got covered on this, where, okay, an attorney stepped in and said, well, I don't like seeing what's going on. And he looked into it and he got him out that day. But he spent 37 days in jail. And if anyone spent any time in jail, it's not a fun place to be. You sleep on concrete. You have to deal with guys that want to fight you all the time. It's miserable. You don't have any you're kept away from everybody. It's just miserable. So you never want to do that. And to have that happen to him when over a post that was not threatening, he was accused of being threatening, but it wasn't threatening. He may not have agreed with the post, but he didn't threaten anybody. He just reposted a Donald Trump meme, and boom, he spends 37 days in jail. And you hear about this stuff, and it doesn't surprise me. Ignorant people that have been lucky enough to not have to deal with problems and injustice in the world. You look at a police officer wrong, you get stopped, and he gives you a hard time. I mean, this happens. I was driving down to Georgia, and I got pulled over for no reason in my motorhome, and they did a legal search and seizure, and I'm like, what is this about? And they brought over the drug sniffing dogs, and it was down in Georgia, and they did all this stuff, and they found out that, oh yeah, they said they smelled drugs in the motorhome, so we have to do, the dog, and the dog did nothing. The dog did absolutely nothing. He didn't bark, he didn't sit, but they said, oh yeah, the dog did. So that gave him a right to search my motorhome, which I never gave him permission to do. And I also wanted to bring my phone with me to record it, but they said no. They grabbed me. They're like, no, you don't get to bring that with you. And then I was kept there for over an hour and a half while we did all this stuff, and they searched all my stuff and yada yada yada. And they let me go because, of course, there was no drugs in there. There's nothing illegal I did. There was nothing illegal in there. This was just a load of horseshit. They just made up things to give them a right to search me and search my premises just because they're hoping to find something, because they're just bored one day and they're trying to find something so that they can say, oh, we got a guy who had drugs. But of course there was nothing. But it didn't change the fact that I didn't deal with an hour and a half of this. It didn't change the fact I've had cops lie so many times. They'll say, oh yeah, he did this and because his mom said this, and no, I didn't, and it just irks me that, yeah, you can spend time in jail. I've been in front of judges, you spend time in jail over lies. It's just like, false accusations on child protective services and meanwhile, I stand up and say, hey, I don't like that I can't see my daughter on YouTube or something. And I say the truth about some things. And because her mom never shows up and saying this and this. And if I share any of that on YouTube, guess what? I can get in trouble. I get told, hey, you can't have that posted. And, this is not a free country. It's not. And if you're ignorant enough to think it is, well, you've been lucky enough to not find out the truth that it isn't. And we watch some of these videos, and they don't surprise me at all that are on this civil rights thing. So check out their channel. I really support this kind of stuff. I hope that you guys watch some of this, donate to their cause. Any donations, of course, I appreciate. And let's expose more and more of revealing the truth instead of being shut up by government officials and judges, etc., because they don't like what we say, or somebody else, some woman doesn't like what you say, and then you all of a sudden are in legal trouble. And when you're supposed to have the right to free speech, right? Unless you're threatening somebody, you have the right to free speech and to bring up the truth and to say your opinion on things. And this persecuting people for nothing more than free speech is horrible. And it really needs to stop. And I love the fact that they're suing the sheriff now for this, and that's a good thing. And more of that needs to happen.